Hey everyone, welcome to the Happy Flosser podcast. My name is Billy Lunt. I am your host, and I'm here to talk to you about all things dental hygiene to support you on your journey through the dental hygiene program. It's really great to have you with me today. And today I have an amazing guest, Dabney Vaccaro. She is a clinical hygienist, an herbalist, and a wellness coach. She is just talented in so many fascinating ways. And I'm just really excited to have conversation with her today so that she can share some of her journey and insight that she's discovered and evolved with being a dental hygienist over her career. So Dabney, welcome. Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thank you, Billy. Thank you for reaching out and having me on your amazing podcast.
Yeah, and so I just think it's so great for the students to hear all different journeys that people take. And I think the best place to start is, when you graduated and how things evolved for you. So we've just been kind of chatting. Dabney and I met at RDH Evolution, and I feel like I never have enough time to find out more about Dabney. So I'm really excited to hear your journey, Dabney.
Yeah, well, so dental hygiene actually is not my first career. I was actually an administrative assistant for a while. I stayed home and raised my kids for a while. And it wasn't until a friend of mine who was a hygienist um, said that there was an opening in her practice that she and her husband had, and he was the dentist. And I actually went to work there, which that was my first little glimpse into the world of dentistry. And I absolutely fell in love with dentistry and the whole atmosphere of dental, mainly because of um, the people that I met was just amazing. The people that the clinicians I worked with, but also like I was able to have a rapport with the patients, and to establish that rapport really gave me energy. So fast forward, I worked in the front, and then I worked as a dental assistant, and then I decided to apply to hygiene school. And so at the age of 36, I entered hygiene school, and I haven't looked back. Like, it's been an amazing discovery for myself, but mainly I've just been able to have the privilege to be a part of oral health care.
Oh, that is fantastic. Well, I don't think it's an unusual journey. I think so many people go into the dental office by mistake and end up filling in a position and end up doing all the different roles before they figure out that, oh, wow, this is something I really love. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So it wasn't until, I mean, I graduated. I've been a hygienist now for 20 years, but when I graduated, my professors all told me that, you're ready to go. You have the latest in information. You're going to do great. But I realized like a month or two in, like I felt like, oh my gosh, like, there's so much more to know. And what I've come to understand was school gave me a foundation, but um, it takes a lot more growing after that graduation to really um, find my footing. And I realized after just about a month or so that I needed to form a group of people that I could help mentor me. And so I reached out. And so once a month for like the first couple of years of hygiene, I met with people who we could talk shop, talk clinic. And that's what I needed for myself, is to understand more like, what do you do when you have a patient XYZ? Or how did you handle this situation with this patient? Because I just felt unprepared.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, to fill that gap, you formed a little networking study group. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I needed it for myself because I felt like now I'm in charge. I'm in charge of this person's oral health, but I mean, I want them to get healthy. And so, what I learned along the way was the way I communicate had to change. And it wasn't until I went through the O'Hare University program to earn my bachelor's degree that I learned a different way to communicate, because I felt like and what I was doing was just fire hosing people with information and hoping that something was going to stick and they were going to go home and make a change. But sadly, they got in their car and went on about life and didn't give another thought about anything I probably said. And so then I felt the weight of like, this is my responsibility. I had all that pressure and weight on myself. And so I was feeling kind of burnt out. Like, how can I keep giving and giving and giving? And 6 months later, I have exactly the same scenario. It was like Groundhog Day. I'm just living the same day over and over again with these patients. And so I had to learn a different way to communicate, to bring them on board, to let them be a part of the solution, not me giving them the fire hose of information because, I had all this knowledge that I was you know, well, I was given in school, and should be able just to make people change. And people don't necessarily want to change, I found out. Um, some people are ready and others aren't. So I learned that I had to really meet them where they are. And
Yeah.
some people want to know information and others are not that interested. And so then we talk about, well, what are you going to do this weekend? Because, they're just going to get annoyed and they're going to tell the lady up front, like, don't put me with her. She's just
Yeah.
annoying and she's just going to tell me to floss and I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, that communication piece was just key to why I still love clinical hygiene.
Mm. That's a great connection piece on burnout, to actually think about how we spread all this knowledge and we use all of our energy and effort to help create change for our patient. And then they come back 6 months later and they look the same. And I can see how that could be a piece of the burnout scenario. That's a good connection, Dabney. I hadn't thought about that piece.
Yeah.
It's tough. But I love that you meet the patient where they're at and you make that adaptation to go in the direction that the patient needs you to take them.
Right. Because patients come in and they're there for their dental hygiene visit, but I don't know what happened to them yesterday or an hour ago or last week. And maybe they're dealing with something that they're just not ready to share. But if they're going through an issue, listening to me talk to them about their gingivitis or periodontal disease, probably they don't care. Maybe they don't care that moment because, they just found out that their husband has a diagnosis or their mother is dying or they just lost their job. And so they have these other things on their mind and their oral health maybe isn't a high priority. So sometimes just learning to gauge that information from your patient, it also helps to build that rapport because I've had patients before who were just sat very quietly. And so I would just ask them, is there anything you need from me today? How can I make this a good experience for you? And so it allows them to communicate with me and it allows them to hopefully have some trust that they can trust me to be someone who cares.
It also taps into all of your other strengths as a clinical provider, Dabney, because we're not just focused on flossing and I mean, we're just so much more than that. And opening up that conversation, what do you need from me today? We're there to provide. And
Right.
and we're capable. I love that give yourself the opportunity for expansion with the patient, with that relationship through your communication process. That's such a great point.
Yeah. Well, and I've had patients, Billy, who have over the years who have just really poured out their heart. They've cried in the chair because they're going through a really difficult thing. And I was like, you know what? There's things we can talk about with your hygiene today, but we're just going to put that off today because you've got some other pressing things. And I just want you to know that I'm here and I hear you and I care about you. And I want you to be able to go about your day and not think about your oral health. Like we're going to put that on the back burner today. Like that's just what we're going to do.
Oh, they're feeling heard when you say something like that based on their needs.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And I don't want people to think necessarily like if they have a major issue, I'm not going to talk about it. But, I kind of gauge the patient and where they are and how pressing something might be in their oral health, whether it can be, you know, pivoted to another day.
Yeah. Well, Dabney, I don't want anyone to judge you. I've had days where patients come in and we don't do anything, anything that's an insurance code type thing.
Uh,
Sometimes it's just a relationship that you're having with the patient and they're not there for your services that day. They just show up and you're hearing what their needs are. So
yeah.
nobody will judge you on that. That's a great clinician. That's what you are.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how has your career evolved since having hygiene as a second career or third career, and then kind of letting it all unfold and developing your skills over time and forming that network with people.
Yeah, well, my life took a left turn when my husband, at the age of 52, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And as a preventative agent, in dental hygiene, and I am the primary caregiver at the house, the cook, the shopper. I thought, how could this happen on my watch? I felt I was responsible for the care and the nutrition and the health and support of my family. And so I started to take deep dives into the world of health and wellness and nutrition and food. And it was actually a patient who knew what I was going through, and she had been studying some things about herbs and plants. It suggested that I look into this book, and so I ordered the book. I started reading the book, and it's an herbalist who had just put out information about just using weeds in your yard that can help shrink cancer tumors and support the body with different things that the body goes through. That being said, I started that world of herbalism, just kind of tinkering in it and making medicine. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just trying to help my husband go through something more natural as he was going through all of the surgeries and chemo and radiation, just a way for me to support him in a way that I thought could help him through that journey. So he did pass away. He put up a brave fight, but he did pass away. And after he died, I thought, I never want anybody else to go through this again. That being said, cancer is all in my family. Like, I know my husband isn't blood related to me, but my dad died of cancer, my grandmother died of cancer, my mom died of cancer. Like, it's just all around my family. And so I thought, I don't want anybody else to go through this. I don't want to go through this again. And so, how can I be an advocate for health and wellness? And so I became a health coach. It was a year-long coursework that I did to be a health and wellness coach. And then in the midst of that, I learned a bit about energy healing. And then that took me into more. Well, I found out that there was a school not too far from where I live that actually teaches people to be a clinical herbalist, which means I can work one-on-one with people. And I have that background of dental hygiene. So we look at health histories anyway. So I was able to put that together with being a clinical herbalist to really put the plant medicine in with some of the modalities that, people are already in their pharmaceuticals, things that, you can put together with pharmaceuticals that won't cause interactions. And so that allowed me to blend both of those things together with my knowledge of dental hygiene. So that was a 3-year course that I went through to become a clinical herbalist. So that that was the that was the start of that whole thing. It was that cancer diagnosis that completely changed the way I look at life, the way I live my life, and the things that I promote as far as the wellness field goes. So I bring that to my clinic every day. There are some of my patients who are very interested and know what I do, and they ask me lots of questions. And I'm always helpful. I'm always happy to help them through that life. And then there's others who enjoy seeing me, but don't really want to talk about herbs. And that's okay because you're just not there. And, like I said, we have to meet them where they are. And there might be a moment in time because people don't really think they need me until they have a diagnosis or they have an issue. It's the same thing with our dental patients. Like, people will say, oh, it's been years since I've been to the dentist. I don't have any problems. No, you just don't have pain. So it's usually a pain of a diagnosis or something that interrupts our life. That's when we typically look for help. But then it becomes a more difficult hurdle to get somebody healthy once that diagnosis is there because things are already starting to deteriorate. Whereas if we can be like hygienist and we can be on the preventative side and we can do things ahead of time to keep things from being, from happening, then we have a better chance of not getting sick.
Wow. Well, you have a really strong why. That is for sure. And that is very evident in all of you're very ambitious, and I can tell that your passion and care of all the knowledge that you have, that you want to share that with everyone, is it's just so obvious. And so thank you for sharing that story, Dabney. That's a good motivator, my goodness, to learn all that you bring to the table. You've got so much knowledge in your head to share with the world on health and wellness. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, there's always challenges that bring that motivation for us, isn't it?
yeah, there are challenges for sure. Because I said not everybody is wanting it, the information. And it's funny that I get a lot of what we call curbside diagnoses or curbside consultations. Um, Somebody will say, "Hey, I'm having trouble with XYZ. What herb should I take?" And it doesn't work that way. It's not it's not a pill for an ill. It's herbs have an amazing effect of going across the board. And sometimes when people have an issue, sometimes it's not the issue that's completely relevant. Sometimes if our nervous system is so stressed that our body can show up thinking something else is wrong, but when we get that nervous system settled and we get that nervous system taken care of, it's not really that issue at all. It's actually something else. So that's why the consultations typically take 60 to 90 minutes, because I just really go through like that whole health history of going all the way back when, like sometimes even into childhood. Like when did you notice that first happening? What was happening in your life during that time? Because sometimes it's traumatic events that lead to chronic illness.
Oh yeah, because the immune system and the fight or flight system is stimulated oh, so fascinating. And I
Yeah,
can so see you've really connected the dots so well between dental hygiene and clinical herbalist, because we are detectives as dental hygienists.
we are.
Yeah.
And sometimes the question can be like, when did you feel your very best? Think
Mhm.
about the time when you felt your very best. What was life like then? And then what has it been like since? And I've had patients or clients who have said, you know, everything was fine until this happened and I haven't been the same since. Well, then we have to go back to that event and let's heal from that event, because that's the event that set your course in a different road.
Wow. That's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, you bring so much to our profession, Dabney. And thank you for connecting the dots on, um, it's been years since I've been to the dentist and I'm fine.
Yes. Yeah. Because pain brings people to their knees, right? So, it's the same thing with our health and wellness. And a question I ask my patients when they come into the dental practice, they'll say, well, because I say, what medications are you taking right now? I'm not taking any. I was like, oh, that's great. When was the last time you were at the doctor? Oh, it's been 10 years. I don't have any issues. I don't have any problems. Like, well, not that you know of. But I was like, so then I see, then we can put it together with their oral health. You know, you've got some gingivitis over here that's going on. Like, maybe it's time for that checkup. So then we would not gained with that knowledge that we have on the front end of their health history, we can then make recommendations for them to go follow up with their care provider, because there might be something underlying that they're just not aware of yet.
That's a great example. It's been 10 years. I'm not on any medications, and so it's like a false illusion of health.
Right. And some people just want to put their fingers in their ear and not know. Like, ah, la, 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 la. I don't want to know if I have anything going on.
That's a coping mechanism for some.
Yes.
So, Dabney, I'm so interested. What would you tell yourself as a new grad if you were just starting out, now that you have, the hindsight and vision of where you're at and your journey?
Well, for sure, never stop learning. It's just a science. And so I know as a new graduate, oftentimes you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've gotten through this. Like I'm done with school. I don't want to know anything else right now. Like I just need a break. And I get that. But for me, it made me more curious. Like there's things here that I'm seeing that I don't know what to do with. So that's why I formed that mentor group for myself so that I can continue to grow. But I would encourage people to, new graduates, to get involved in your profession in some manner. Go to things like Evolution or RDH Under One Roof and get to know your colleagues, listen to speakers, maybe find a niche that you are really interested in. For me, it's food and nutrition and wellness, but for somebody else, maybe it's airway, maybe it's myofunctional therapy. I would suggest finding something that you're really excited about and just learn as much as you can about that. Be the person in your field that people want to come to for answers, because we can't know everything. And I think that's been probably my issue over the years, is that I wanted to know everything. I'm good at lots of things but not great at anything. um, and so I would encourage a new graduate, just don't stop learning. I mean, for me myself, like continue on that trajectory of learning and growing, because you're going to help your profession, you'll help your patients, and it's going to help you not get burnt out with dental hygiene, because it can be very repetitious if all you're thinking about is I'm going to go in and clean teeth. And I've heard my new graduates that I've been mentoring, we talk about assessment. And when I come to them and ask, well, how come the assessment wasn't done on the front end of the appointment? Their response was like, I just felt like I had to get in there and clean their teeth because I wasn't sure I was going to have enough time. It's like, well, I want to open your mind up to, you are not a tooth cleaner. You are a provider. You provide a service of healthcare to your patients. And the major part that you're going to spend your time on is your assessment, because it could be that they're not going to get their teeth cleaned today. Because if you're finding disease and you're finding something in there that needs to be addressed, then we need to address that first, and then we go forward. So I would also suggest that you don't look at yourself as a tooth cleaner. We have not done very well as a field, as a dental hygiene field, to really promote all the things we do. People don't even know, like when they're coming in, our patients, they don't know the difference between the dental assistant and the dental hygienist. Sometimes even the office people, like they just don't know about our education. They don't know all the things that we've had to do, all the things that we can do, that we're a provider. um, I think we can certainly do better as a profession to build up all the things that we are good at doing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And I think we have to take ownership for the lack of understanding that patients have on who's actually working with them, So I've really made an effort to actually say all the steps of things that I'm doing when I'm working with a patient. Okay, I'm going to do your head and neck cancer screening now. And
Mhm.
that's something as simple as that makes a big change in the perception of what your patient is understanding that you're even doing with them. But yeah, well said, Dabney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we have to hold ourselves accountable. Ah.
Yeah. I mean, if we want the profession, if we want the public to know our value,
Yep.
I mean, who else is going to do it? No one else is going to do it.
Yeah, you're right. You are right about that. Um, yeah, and hopefully our students can feel confident enough when they get out there, especially if they're networking and they have a study group like you suggested, that they can say, well, I'm the dental hygienist and this is what I do, and this is what my knowledge is, this is what I've learned, this is what I'm capable of. So we have to start by supporting and then educating.
Right.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
well
Yeah.
said. Oh, well, so I can't wait to hear what are you doing and working on now since you're sharing all of this awesome stuff with our students and our listeners.
Well, Um, the first part of last year, I was just reflecting on this recently. The first part of last year, I was busy head over heels in dental hygiene. We had an influx of practitioners who left the practice. And so I went from part time to full time for the first part of the year. And then I went into July, and I was lucky enough to be a part of Evolution and RDH Under One Roof. And it was during that Evolution conference that totally upended what I was thinking and how I was promoting my wellness business. And so the last half of the year has been just deep dive into myself and reflecting on my goals and my values, trying to uncover and work on some of the limiting beliefs that I had for myself. And so that journey has been just really powerful in that because, at 57 years old, almost 58, I'm still discovering who I am and just healing parts of myself that I didn't even know needed to be healed. But it's been a wonderful awakening. And so I'm encouraged with 2025 to embark on something new. And I don't really understand or know what that is. I just know that it's going to be big. I don't even know how it's going to end up. I just know it's going to be something big. But
Yeah.
I've been working on an online course for dental hygienists, primarily women, because I can resonate with women because I am one. I am postmenopausal. And so I've been through a lot of things in life, the stressors and child rearing and all of the things, and being a dental hygienist in the midst of all of it. So I feel like I have a lot to share with other hygienists, the things that they might be facing, the things that they probably are facing, and how I can help them navigate, care for themselves as they care for others. Because we live and work in a caring environment when we show up to work, and we give and give, and many of us want to give. But when we are depleted, it's hard for us to give when we're depleted. So then how do we nourish ourselves so that we can continue to give to others? So I've developed this 6-week online course. It's called Thrive and Revive Holistic Health for Dental Hygienists. And really, it's to equip dental hygienists with just practical tools to manage stress and physical strain. And I want to foster just self care routines to help them with their overall health and vitality. And maybe just address some of the burnout prevention, hormonal imbalances, the immune system, and just supporting nuances with like herbs and just meditation practices that can help nourish our inner soul so that we can be a better version of ourselves, not only for our patients but just for our families and for ourselves. I mean, life is short. I know that because my husband died when he was 56, and when I turned 56, I mean, I thought, gosh, I've outlived my husband, and life is short. There's no guarantees, and we get one life, and I want to help others live their best life.
Oh my gosh, Dabney, that's a wonderful plan of what you're doing next. So how would, if somebody was listening and they were interested in your 6-week course and they wanted to sign up, how would they get a hold of you? How would they do that?
Well, they can just email me, and I can give you the email that you can put in the show notes. But you can email me. I have a website that people can go to and just look to see what my offers are. Just if you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis. But this course is going to be just I'm kind of rolling it out and just with a few hygienists first to
Mhm.
see how it goes and just to get feedback from them. But eventually, it will be available through my website.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I'll put all that information in the show notes for people that are interested.
Thank you,
Oh,
Billy.
I can't wait to hear how this unfolds. 2025 is going to be a great year for you.
It's going to be a great year. Like I said, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know how it's going to roll out, but I know it's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah. For me, one of the things at evolution that kind of sparked my growth was the fear setting. I had never really thought about fear setting instead of goal setting. Was that something that helped you with your limiting beliefs?
Yeah, I think I've lived in fear most of my life. Um, because it's that fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, fear of, that imposter syndrome. It's all there. And it's our brain just telling us it's a protective mechanism. And I know now that is just my own self protecting me from disappointment.
Yeah.
But fear and growth don't go hand in hand. You can't have one and the other. So I've got to put fear aside so that I can grow.
Yeah, that was such a great aha moment for me at Evolution. And I was like, oh, it's really good to say, okay, what is the worst that could happen if I take this step? It's
Right.
really important.
Right. Well, and the thing too is that she was right. Like, we have our dental hygiene profession. Like if everything else fails, we can always go back and work clinically in an office. Like that's a possibility. Like, yeah. What's holding me back other
Yeah,
than my own limiting beliefs?
yeah, it was a moment of fearlessness. This was like, oh, I could always do clinical hygiene. I should tackle anything that my mind thinks to achieve. I should just go for it. That was
Yeah.
such a great discovery at Evolution. I loved that. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you experienced that too.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening and I felt just rejuvenated with the whole experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Dabney, I cannot thank you enough for coming on. It's been such a pleasure. I could talk to you all day, honestly. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share your journey and to really be vulnerable to tell students that it's okay to say that you don't know everything, but you know how to find it out, to reach out to others for support, and to just continue to learn. I just love your message. I really do.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll definitely have to do this again.
Sounds good.
And thanks to our listeners. I appreciate your time spent with us. Please rate and review this podcast. It really helps to share the message to other students who also need support. So get on there, rate and review the podcast, and share it with your friends. Have a great week, guys. We'll talk to you soon.